Welcome. What is it on? All right. Welcome, Rotarians and guests, to today's Rotary meeting. Today is Wednesday, July 15th. I am your president, Douglas Berman. On this date in history, we look all the way back to July 15th, 2006. Not too far ago, but 20 years ago today marked the launch of Twitter, now known as X. Initially launched as a microblogging platform, it fundamentally changed real-time news, celebrity interaction, and internet culture. So somewhat of a milestone. Today's opening song will be led by Steve Feldman. Our invocation will be by past District Governor Dick Brown, and our visitor introductions by Letice Brown.
We're singing My Country 'Tis of Thee. Please join me. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountain side, let freedom ring. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in prayer. As Rotarians and as God's children, may we be open to our speaker's message as he and his firm seek to bring sustainable and affordable growth to the heart of York City. As we reflect on his message, may our prayer for yesterday be that we gave enough of ourselves to make a difference in our community. May our prayer for today be to realize and be grateful for all the blessings of this and every day. May our prayer for tomorrow be to humble ourselves enough to show compassion and kindness to all we meet. May our prayer for the future be peace, understanding, and love flowing from each of us to everyone we touch. Rotarians do make a difference. Amen.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Letice Brown, and I am pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Doug has welcomed you. Our visiting Rotarian from Colonial Park, Scott McManaman. Sarah O'Brien, guest of Sterling Dunlap. And guests of our speakers, Abby Shank, Sarah Malinsky, Brad Fisher, Tim Vinson, Hannah Westerman, Graham Will, Trish Will, Becky Zeller, Kim Hogeman, Ray Lilly, and Silas Chamberlain. Guests of Student Education Committee, Zachary Detweiler, Avery Kiner, Katrina Wolf, Shatayla Bailey, Dee Dee Hu, guests of membership. And the following are guests of the Youth Exchange, Sanaya Phillip, Kanisha Phillip, Andre DeMoro, Araya DeMoro, and Scarlett Barshinger. The following are guests of Joe Stein, Craig Campbell, and Troy Bankert. John Gimbalvo, guest of Frank Countess. Ellen Chalet, past President Ann Druck's guest. Samantha Clancy, guest of Jennifer Clancy. Chard Howley, guest of Dan May. And Andrew Wilson, guest of Jim Anderson III.
Latisse, I think you get the MVP for performance today. That might be well done, guests. We're so thrilled to have you here today. We hope you enjoyed today's meeting and program. Congratulations to Dylan for, I think, a standing room only crowd as we're still bringing chairs in the back of the room. So guests or Rotarians, please help me welcoming our guests today. You may be seated. So a few announcements, but before I get into those, I do just want to take a moment. We have a lot to get through today, so we're going to cut the ongoing roast of my induction as president a little short. That hopefully people enjoyed that the past 2 weeks. I do want to take a moment, though, and thank Ben Ott in the back of the room. Ben was our technology guru on the program on July 1st. We had a lot of different videos, some songs playing, everything else. So Ben, terrific job that day. If you haven't seen the recording of that meeting, I certainly strongly encourage you to do it. I think you'll find it entertaining. So a round of applause for Ben, please. So a few announcements. The Youth Enrichment Committee will meet on tomorrow at 9 a.m. on Zoom. The Youth Exchange Committee will meet on also tomorrow at noon on Teams. And the Membership Recruitment will meet next Wednesday, July 22nd at 1:30 in the Mixed Grill following the meeting. Next, we have a kind of a fun slide for you. We often talk about connections made through Rotary. Well, these two connected well before either of them was a Rotarian. So here's a snapshot from the yearbook from Juniata College in 2002, featuring our own Leanne Wilson and our new executive director, Terry Travers. So kind of a fun little look back there. I'm not sure who dug that up, but nicely done. So a small world when it comes to Rotary. Now we'll jump into our committee announcements. I'll ask Bill Hunter to come forward and as chair of the Membership Engagement Committee.
Thank you, President Doug. The Membership Recruitment Committee has a lot going on, so we want to cover them. I apologize. I have about a 5-slide deck here. So the first one is Rotary Means Business. We have this going on. It's going to be held at CGA. Thank you to Frank Kaunis for providing a venue for us here. It's going to be July 30th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. There's going to be light hors d'oeuvres, wine, beer, and soft drinks. We held this last year, and we had about 100 people show up for it. Our district 7390 has 2,500 members. Right now we have 58 people signed up. So we really want to make a good showing. So if everybody could get registered for that, it should be a good time. It was a lot of fun. We do have some networking activities scheduled for it. So it should be a great time. So that's July 30th. The next one we have is a new member happy hour. Dave Cheverini has helped us procure the Graham Rooftop Lounge. It is typically not open from 4 to 6 p.m., so it will be ours for those 2 hours all by ourselves. It's going to be a great opportunity to meet new members that have joined the club within the last 2 years or so. It's going to be a cash bar, but we probably should have some hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that. But again, a great opportunity to network and get to know our new members and connect with each other. After that, we are bringing back the Crab Fest. Thank you to the Etzweiler family for their generosity. So that will be happening as well. That's going to be Thursday, August 20th from 5 to 7 p.m. It will be at the Etzweiler Bungalow. We've done this before. We've had a good turnout. So I'll get into Club Runner so everybody can register for that. The next item we have is Rotary Biz Tour and Networking. This is going to be at the Tech Central location. It's on 800 East Market Street. That's going to be September 10th from 5 to 7 p.m. They provide adult education, workforce training, and employment services. So we'll be taking a tour. Again, we'll have some facilitated networking and some refreshments, beverages, things of that nature. So again, another one to put on your calendar for future reference. Finally, we have a QR code that will take you right to the Club Runner calendar. Typically in the country club here, you have to get off of their Wi-Fi to do that, but we highly recommend everybody take a snap of that, and that gets you to Club Runner. That'll show you all the events we have coming up. And then finally, if anybody does have any businesses, nonprofits that you would like to promote, please let us know. You can let me know. Let Terry know or anybody on the Membership Engagement Committee so we can get set up for a Rotary Biz Networking event. We are already scheduling out into the fall. So look forward to that and appreciate everybody being at these activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you to the Membership Engagement Committee. We've heard from the survey results that our members want more activities, more opportunities to get together with their fellow members. And I think that's quite an array of options, and look forward to a number of those. Next up, we'll have Youth Exchange. I'll ask Alyssa Barshinger as a committee member of that committee to come forward and make her presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce you all to a multi-talented and fabulous young woman who will be our next outbound exchange student. She will be leaving very soon. I don't want to steal her thunder, so I'll keep that mysterious. But in case she's too humble to mention, she had a lead in the musical at her high school this past year. So she is a singer and a dancer and an actress, also a member of the marching band at her high school, playing in the pit on keyboard instruments. So this girl is already leaving with phenomenal talents, and I'm so excited for her to get an opportunity to grow in a very unique way. Youth Exchange is a wonderful program that brings people together around the world, gives them cross-cultural experiences, and brings them back just developed into this marvelous version of themselves. So I'm going to let Sanaya Phillip explain where she's going and anything else she'd like to introduce about herself.
Hola, me llamo Sanaya y esta de presentación de despedida. Hi, my name is Sanaya, and this is my farewell presentation. So the country I'm going to is Peru, and then my host city is called Cajamarca. It's located closer to the top of Peru. It's in a valley closer to the Andes Mountains. So Peru is divided into 3 different regions: the Costa, which is the desert region, the Sierra, which is the Andes Mountain region, and then the Selva, which is the Amazon rainforest. Then Cajamarca is famous as the site where the Inca Empire fell due to the capture of their emperor Atahualpa in the Andes Mountains. So then Peru also holds one of the 7 wonders of the world, Machu Picchu. Its elevation is almost 3,000, so it's very different from York. York is almost 300. Why did I choose to do Rotary Youth Exchange? I chose to do Rotary Youth Exchange because I wanted the chance to grow more as a person, and I feel that the exchange will help me do that and show me things about myself that I never knew. And I want to thank all the Rotarians that helped make this exchange possible, like Albert and Ron Starnes and John Yates and Alyssa. So, yeah. And then that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah.
Congratulations, Sanaya. We hope it is truly a special experience, and we look forward to hearing more about it when you do return safely next year. So I'm thrilled to we'll be thinking about you throughout the year. Next, we're going to have an update from Love for Community. I'll start by apologizing. I was criticized last week. Besides my bell ringing skills, I think Pavle needs no further introduction. I just call him Pavle, but I was criticized for not attempting to pronounce your last name. So Pavle Badovinak. So I'll ask Pavle to come forward as vice chair of our fundraising committee.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate the pronunciation, and I've had every variation in the book, and that was perfect. So thank you. So I'm here to update everybody about our Love for Community event. I did an update last week, and I wanted to take a little bit of a different approach this week. The defending golf champions wrote a note, and they wanted me to read it for the club. So I wanted to start off just by reading the note that the defending champions wrote. So to the fellow Rotarians and friends of the club, we have another Love for Community event coming up on September 14th. As you all know, I'm writing as the defending champion of the most prestigious golf event of 2025. You might be thinking the Masters, the PGA Championship. You might be thinking the Open Championship, but it is actually our Love for Community event. Please, for the love of community, bring more competition this year. We need some more groups. and we need some more golfers that can compete with us. It's lonely at the top. I'm not sure who wrote that from the winning group, but I will make sure that I let him know I had it read. It's signed anonymously. But in all seriousness, guys, mark your calendars. September 14th is right around the corner. We're gearing up for another great event. As I stated last week, this is our only fundraiser for 2026. So we go all out. It's our flagship fundraiser. We put everything we have into raising money for the community. And really, there's something for everybody at the event. I mentioned golf. The golf outing is wonderful. It's on a beautiful course at a great time of year to play golf. We also have pickleball, cornhole, croquet, volunteer opportunities. There's a beautiful dinner afterwards where it's not buffet style. They bring out awesome food plated for everybody. And you can come for the dinner if you want. There are silent auctions, live auctions. So there's really fun and an activity for everybody in the room. Whatever your game is, we have a spot for you. And now I want to reiterate, as I stated last week, this is my ask for all Rotarians. We're still looking for sponsorships, and we're still looking for auction items and volunteers. So I'm kindly asking if your company or if you as an individual have the ability to donate or sponsor, now's the time to step up and contact our fundraising committee for sponsorship opportunities. Also, auction donations, big or small, for live and silent auctions. We're still accepting auction items. Anything is helpful. Even if it's something little, we can combine it with another prize that we're offering. And last week, I had a number of Rotarians reach out to me after my update with different auction items that we have now incorporated into our live and silent auctions. And also, we're looking for volunteer opportunities. It's a long day from registration to cleanup. It's an all-day event. So if anybody can spare some time to help at registration, help throughout the day, that would be greatly appreciated as well. And again, reiterating as I did last week, this is our only fundraiser of the year. So as Rotarians, let's step up to the plate and knock this one out of the park. Any way you can help certainly moves the needle. And feel free to grab me after the meeting. I'm happy to make getting involved as easy as possible. So thanks again, everyone. And let's make this Love for Community event the best one yet.
Thank you, Pablo, and thank you to the fundraising committee. We're just a little less than 2 months out, so really looking forward to that fun day. I know at the large club conference, we were sharing ideas, and I talked to the incoming chair of the Long Beach, California club, and they were amazed at the idea of combining all those other activities into one outing. So I shared some of our information. I don't think that's direct competition, but hopefully they don't take away from any of our sponsors. So keep doing what you're doing, Pavle, and the committee, and we'll look for ways to support. Final committee update will be student education. I'll ask Julie Parthy as the vice chair of that committee to come forward.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited. You know, we give quite a lot of money away. Thank you very much for bringing us up here. We are excited to have 4 recipients here with us today. As our slides will show you, we give away, we had 532 total applicants this year. This is across our entire county. Applicants from 25 schools, 13 new scholarship awardees this time, 9 multi-year awards, $51,100, 21 total awards given, 12 named scholarships, not just graduating high school seniors. This year we gave college students currently in college, adult learners. We also gave away that this year. That was something we really pursued to make happen. So this year we want to announce the 4 people that we have present right now. First, we have Shatayla Bailey. She is present if you would stand. She will be attending Indiana University of Pennsylvania. She received a 4-year scholarship totaling $5,000 of $1,250 yearly she will receive. There she is. This young woman is pretty amazing. She was a drum major for 2 years at York High. She sang the national anthem at York High. At York Fair. And she was, and she held for entire high school a 4.2 grade point average. That's pretty amazing. Anyway, so congratulations to her. Second up, we have, we should have. Rebecca could not join us today. That's Zachary Detweiler, and he is our adult learner awardee this year. He has a 1-year scholarship of $2,300. It will be attending Franklin and Marshall College. Zach is a pretty cool guy. He's a single dad of 2. He owns and operates a personal training and wellness coach. He's a training and wellness coach, and actually will be attending Franklin and Marshall for astrophysicist as an astrophysicist. Pretty amazing kind of story. If you get a chance to talk to him, it's amazing. So congratulations, Zach. Next up, we have Avery Kiner. He's now attending York College, but graduated from Hanover High School. This young man has played tennis throughout his high school and continues to play tennis, but I overheard him saying he's kind of looking at pickleball. So those of you who are interested in that, it might be interesting to talk to him, but is pursuing an engineering degree there. So he will be getting a 1-year scholarship of $1,200. Congratulations, Avery. And last but not least, we have Katrina Wolf. She's attending Johns Hopkins, and this is, they don't have it written here, but what did I say? Here it's Peabody Institute at Johns Hopkins. She receives a 1-year scholarship. She attended Dallastown High School and graduated there. Interesting, she has a passion for keeping classical music alive. She actually continues to teach cello to younger generation students, and I think that's amazing. But congratulations to her. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie, and to the Student Education Committee, and thank you to all of our members for all the support and the funds that have been established through the years, through your generosity at our own York Rotary Foundation for making all of that possible. I believe that's all of our committee updates. Now I will ask past President John Kleinens to come forward and introduce today's program.
Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. It's my pleasure to be able to introduce our speaker today, Dylan Bauer, the CEO of Royal Square Development and Construction. Dylan is a local boy, graduated from Dallastown High School, got a bachelor of entrepreneurship at Temple. He has spent his career with a singular focus, breathing new life into downtown York, and there are many of us that can testify to that. I will not talk about his humble beginnings in the ice cream business. Some of us know about that. Maybe Dylan will incorporate that in his remarks, but I'm going to try to shorten the introduction so we have more time for Dylan. Royal Square is a mission-driven development and construction company that believes in the power of place and that revitalizing a city's core creates a ripple effect across the entire community. Through adaptive reuse of historic buildings, the creation of new housing, and the attraction of unique businesses, Royal Square has become one of the most impactful forces in York's urban renaissance. Today, Dylan will walk us through a portfolio of projects, and I won't review the projects, I'll let him do that are currently underway or just about to get underway in the city of York. Taken together, these projects represent millions of dollars of investment, hundreds of new residents, and a bold new vision for what downtown York can provide and what it can become. Rotarians and guests, please welcome our speaker, Dylan Bauer.
Good afternoon. Thank you, John. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Rotarians, for having me back. I was a member. I want to give a little warning. I was a member for a year, and I don't like to do anything without 100%. And my attendance dropped off, and I thought, I need to consider this. And I thought, if I just take a step back, I haven't been there in 3 months. No one's going to know. And I swear, 24 or more Rotarians have been like, hey, what's going on with it? I saw you, you're not coming. So I warn everybody in here, if you're ever considering leaving, you're gonna have that come. That's happening soon. But thank you again. Thank you is kind of the thing I really want to lean on here. I got a great team here. When I was asked I can bring 2 guests, Lynn said, you can bring at least 2 guests. I thought, there's no way. I could fill this room with people that are a part of this mission, from investors to my team at this table to YCEA to everybody that I've encountered. I mentioned ice cream. I had a stand at Central Market in 2009. That paved the way to a lot of relationships that I'm still with today. And that's what makes York so special and so great. So I'm excited to go over a few things. We're going to talk about some past projects, some projects you might know about, and then I'm going to share some stuff that I haven't told very many people. And I feel like this room deserves to hear that. So we're going to share, you're going to be the first to know about some really cool stuff. So let's take a look at some past projects. Anyone? I'm sure the name of Royal Square. Anyone? All right. What does it mean? King, Queen, Duke, Princess, the 4 royal streets in York City. There is a missing Prince Street. I always said that was a good coffee shop name, the Missing Prince, but no one likes it. So past projects, if you are familiar with Royal Square, this is King Street. We're looking at King Street, the 100 block. So when I started with Josh, we were actually at 110 East King, just to the right over here. My partner, Josh Yankee, started buying up these properties in 2009, 2010, right after the crash. He had the foresight to see that these properties are in the central business district. They're occupiable, they're good real estate, and they were selling for around $30,000, $40,000 at the time. And Josh, having traveled a little bit, had seen the arts movement really progress that economic development. So on the right, what you see, which was probably, I don't know, Sarah, that's probably 2020. That came a little bit later when we started cleaning everything up. This is what happens when you bring artists to that movement. We had First Fridays were new. And the time I was selling ice cream at Central Market. I remember the one night I made $20, I think, selling to other vendors' children. But I was committed to being open on First Friday in 2000, I guess it was 2009. That was the first time that First Friday really hit York. And then these artists over on King Street, which to me, over behind Allison's, be careful, I don't know what's over there, still in the CBD. Now it's laughable, it's all close, it's all walkable. But at the time, it seemed a little bit on the edge. So Josh started buying up these properties on this block, bringing artists in, and that really started the motion. And that really has been the main center for Royal Square, the district that is. On the left, this is a picture. I wish we could go back further in time. When I first met with Josh, he took me on a tour of the properties behind, which on the right is this picture is actually from Cantina. There was chain link fence. We hopped the chain link fence, and he's describing to me this vision. I'm like, I get it. And he's certainly the visionary side of the partnership, because on the right, you can see what happened. We've really been successful with the murals and bringing everybody together. And it's really awesome to see this kind of a space. You're not going to find this in other cities, having this much contiguous space. One of the big drivers for us was the bond. So the bond was built as a Studebaker automobile dealership. Studebaker and Conewaga were the 2 covered wagons that were competing. Am I right, Frank? That sounds right. And they were competing. Studebaker was from York. Conewaga was from this place across the river, Lancaster. So over there, we were building Studebakers. That turned into a car dealership. That built this up. And then eventually they tore down the front. And then it became a weightlifter's gym at some point. Rumors of Arnold Schwarzenegger working out there before competing at York Barbell. Ellen, is that true? I don't know. So this came along, and it went for auction in 2010. Well, no, 2012. And we, with help of Kevin Schreiber and the YCA, we acquired it for $150,000, which in hindsight is just like, how does that work? But at the time, there wasn't a lot of faith in the downtown area. So again, with the foresight of what happens to these old buildings, eventually they oftentimes come wedding and event venues. So about the time I started, we signed a contract with the JDK Group, and we are now over 10 years, I believe, in working with this as a wedding and event venue. It drives a lot of business to York City and to Royal Square, the district. And the vision, honestly, I remember calling Josh I told him, I said, you're not going to believe it, but I'm seeing what we talked about. Because back then the idea was, can you imagine a wedding here and then people are going to walk to the Yorktown, and then the Yorktown closed for 5 years. And there wasn't the synergy we were talking about. Then one day I'm just sitting there at a light and I knew they were from out of town because they waited for the light to change. They just stood there patiently and like, yeah, these guys are from out of town, and they were all dressed up and they were doing exactly what we thought. And it was like, this is so cool to see this come together. And economic development takes a long time. I mean, everybody, you know, we have great ideas, we see things, but it just takes so much effort. People don't really see. And then when it happens, it's like, yeah, I would have done that. So let's take a look here. This was a big driver for us, the Royal Square, the mural park. If you haven't been, check it out. It's great at night too. It's well lit. We have 31 murals and we're adding more to the Royal Square district. This is just a sampling of them. We partnered with Sprocket Mural Works to do this. This brings people here. It's free. It's anybody can go. I like to say you'll see people there with their vehicles. They're all cleaned up, getting photos of their cars. People get in front of the York with the big picture. I like to point out, I see a lot of people, I'm like, oh, that's definitely a dating app photo. I can tell what they're doing. And they get their photos, you know, and it's pretty cool. It's really neat to see public accessible murals and art in our city. And we have a lot of it right here in Royal Square, and plans for more. This photo gets me, this makes me laugh a little bit and smile, because I used to live above Holy Hound on the 3rd floor of the wraparound balconies, one of the coolest apartments in New York. I lived there and I looked at this Weinbraun gold. That's the York I fell in love with on the left. I'm serious. When I was at Central Market, I'd walk around and it was click your heels at the time, all shoes $9.99 and up, which I thought was an interesting tagline. But this was the police museum in the middle, and then Woolworth in the background. And you can see there's no upper floors, and on the right we have the upper floors. This was financed by a New Market tax credit mostly, but it was the foresight of Frank Dittenhafer, Rock Commercial Real Estate at the time. They put together, we don't say the unit block anymore, Frank, but back then everybody talked about the unit block, and no one says it. But the unit block was the 0 block of West Market Street. And there was a study. There was a lot of information of vacancy. There was a lot of information of just lots of good retail space. And this plan was put together, and it got into the hands of Josh at the time. I was working at Rock, and we were friends, but we weren't working together as partners. And we went for beers at Coombs Tavern. I'm just throwing out all the old names. And we're at Coombs, and he's like, hey, you want to do this? And I said, I don't know. I'm really getting some traction here at Rock. And he said, well, I'll make you a partner. And that's the rest of the history. So we went after it, and if it wasn't for Mr. Appel co-signing a 26-year-old and a 35-year-old, he co-signed a loan for us, and we got a New Market tax credit, which was $14.2 million, and it more or less started our company in a new direction. It built us to who we are today. At the time, we were like a couple of pickup trucks and maybe 6 of us in one little 2-room office on King Street. And then we moved, I think, 4 or 5 times in like a 5-year period. Just whatever vacant space we could find, we would work in. And so this block, really, when I was at Rock, Rosenmiller, if you know, that there was Jimenina's, and that was about it. There wasn't a whole lot going on in that block. And then shortly after, we saw Baron von Schwein come in, my girlfriend's wardrobe, Claypath. A lot of these retailers opened up. And what was really fun for me, from my vantage point, and I mean literal vantage point of being on the balcony of the National House, when I moved in there, people would go from White Rose to a little bit, and then Holy Hound opened. I was there before Holy Hound. And it was so cool to see people come down to Holy Hound, but they looked up Market Street and they're like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It looks dangerous. And so now we laugh, but it stopped there. And then we saw this connection. We saw across the street get developed, and I don't know where we are on the slides, but eventually Prince Street Cafe. And that really is economic development, because suddenly it was not a far walk to go from there to Prince Street. And now Yorktown's open. Well, you're already there. You can make it to Collusion, and everything's good. There's no more parking issues, and everybody's safe. So I bring that up because that's one of my favorite photos of what we've done. These are 3 projects we did in the New Market tax credits. New Market tax credits are very, very time-consuming paperwork. It's a U.S. Treasury tax credit. They used to be more applicable for cities like York. They're not as much anymore, mostly just by the guidelines of what the Treasury wants to see. We are working on one right now with Tech Centra, which I'll talk about. But these are 3 projects that were New Market tax credit projects. You'll see the Woolworth, the 2 stories above. The City Hotel, or the Doll Building in the center, that was built in I think it was 88, the same year as Market. And then Mr. Melvin Haynes on the far left built the Haynes Building. That was one of his 2 buildings, not to mention Haynes Acres, the Shoe House, everything else. So this is another thing. This was one that actually Mr. Appel specifically asked Josh and I to work on. This was shortly before he passed. He did not like how Beaver Street looked. And I have to agree. I've been going to Green Bean since 2012, I think, before it was Green Bean even. King and Beaver, it was called. And this block was rough. And what was really cool for us is with his help, we were able to acquire these buildings and renovate them. And then we worked on a lot of the properties on that block. And now we've seen a lot of single family home ownership and people investing. And we're big believers in home ownership is the key to success. We don't want to be landlords of a bunch of single family homes. We want to get those in the hands of people who care and not just rent them to somebody else or live out of town, because you're most likely going to pick up the trash, take care of your building if you do that. And so Beaver Street really did turn quite a bit in the time that we were a part of that. So we're going to talk about some current projects. That's a look in the past. If anyone has been to downtown on the square, we have some pretty cool marketing banners going around. This is the Mural Arts Hotel. So this is 5 stories, and this is fun. So Becky Zeller here, she's our historic tax credit consultant. We've done about 16, we've completed, I think, 16 federal historic tax credit projects. What is a historic tax credit project? Well, if we follow the guidelines of the National Park Service, we get a federal tax credit on the construction value, equal to about 20%. We often will sell those for 80 cents on the dollar, and that's how we get the cash in our capital stack. Having done this like 15 times, I'm like, yeah, no big deal. We can do it on this building, of course. But we couldn't. And why, right? You may be wondering why. Well, it was originally, I think, 5 stories, and then it went to 7 stories. And then it was brought down to 3 stories by the Feuder brothers. And then in 2008, Sierra Property Group, they brought it up to 5 stories. So the National Park Service, with their 50-year look back, says it doesn't qualify. If you add 2 more stories, we'll give you credit for those, but nothing underneath. Is that right? Something along those lines. But regardless, it was like, oh, I thought we knew what we were doing. But you learn along the way here, and this is interesting. So Mr. Hartman, he built it. It was the tallest building west of the Susquehanna River when it was 7 stories. And then, like I said, it was 3, then 5. So let's talk about Mural Arts Hotel. Mural Arts Hotel will be open probably about March, April next year. We're trying to feel out when we end construction. This is our first time getting into a boutique arts hotel before, so we want to make sure it's right. We want to make sure everything is worked out. It is an invisible service hotel, so everything about it will be done electronically through your phone or computer. So you'll be on all the major websites, Booking, Hotwire, whatever they have today, Airbnb. You can book through that. You'll get a notice. There's a 4-car loading zone out front. You can unload here. The code to the front door is this, as well as your room. They'll all be standard hotel style rooms, but it's going to be as a mural hotel. The corner units will all have murals. So we're going to have a 4 mural hotel, or 4 mural suites, and then 4 per floor. So a total of 20 rooms in total. So we're partnering with Yon Property Management on the building, working with Miko Design. Ray, here's some of Ray's designs. This is an interior look of what we're going to be doing. This isn't an exact look of what we're doing on the mural suites, but this is an example of what you can expect. And this is all, I can't wait to see it. It's going to be really fun. Tasia and Valencia. So we had some success last year finishing Fox Apartments with Kinsley Properties. It was an honor to work with them on these kinds of projects. And this came up, and they asked us again, do you want to work with us on this? And we said, yeah, we'll take the lead. Let's do it. So Peter Tasia moved here from Sicily. And this was a refrigeration house at one point. It had cork walls. If you read about it, they've got some news coverage on it, but there's thick cork walls. It's refrigeration insulation in the basement still. And then Mr. Tasia built this large produce and vegetable empire. And then his daughter took over and started the Valencia Ballroom. So there's actually a lot of connection. And Jules and I got caught in this. We were trying to leave the Tasia, and we went down the wrong elevator, and then we were in Valencia, and we almost scared Peter in the kitchen. But you know, they're all connected. So we're going to separate that connection so the residents aren't running over to the ballroom. There is going to be some work done to the ballroom, mostly on the exterior, and we're excited about where that's going. And then in the background there behind Valencia is exciting. We'll get to that if you guys are catching the preview. United Way. This is an exciting project, 138 East Market. This is, I believe it's fully funded when they went to construction, which is a great testament to United Way. This is going to be their new headquarters, very large first floor conference room, right next to Powder Milne's office and right there on Market Street, right in the middle of everything. So this is a project we're excited to see come to fruition, and Warehouse is our designer on it as well. Let's see, future projects. I'm cruising. All right, maybe we're gonna have a lot of Q&A. This is the fun stuff. This is the stuff that I was like, all right, am I gonna talk about it? No, future is not the exciting. We're gonna get to potential. That's where you're gonna really wanna pay attention. Okay, Madison Avenue. I went to church here in like 1992, I think, for maybe a year, Grace Fellowship. And then I saw it change hands a lot of times. It was most recently owned by our friends at Statewide Partners. They're the ones building the 139 unit building on Beaver Street. Josh Juffy, who's a good friend, he said, hey, this isn't for us. What do you guys think? And we're like, this is totally what we do. So we're going to be keeping the side here. We're going to be putting in windows and apartments on the left-hand side. And then we're going to be maintaining the school as best we can and have 41 apartments with 50 parking spaces. So this in the avenues, if you're not familiar, there's a lot of residential around it. But we think with the 50 parking spaces, all one bedrooms, it should be a good contribution to the city as well as the other projects that are happening in downtown. Tech Centro. So Tech Centro is expanding. We had the opportunity to work for them on their project on Market Street, 800 East Market Street, the old M&T Bank there. And they're growing. This is going to have facility service or facility school, amongst other things, and then culinary eventually. So there's a two-phase. We're working with them on both phases. And we're actually, a lot of what our company does is we get hired for things like New Market Tax Credit Advisory. This is an example of that. So we're going to be their advisor through the whole process. It's a lot of sitting on phone calls and attorneys, and we'll be there the whole way. We're also going to be using federal historic tax credits on this as well. Like I said, this is going to be two phases. Phase one is going to start very soon. And in the spring, it's going to open part one, and then part two will be almost immediately after that. This is 459 West Market. I'm excited about it because you're looking at maybe 300 adult learners who are right here. I live right around the corner from there, and they're going to be right behind Penn Market. And Penn Market, this is going to be great for lunch trade, great morning coffee. So, okay, that's cool. We're starting to grow that out a little bit. This is a project that I've been working on. Who was at the Masquerade Ball in 2017? Anybody? How awesome was that, Natalie? Jules was there. They was dancing, everybody. Elaine was there. Of course you were. It was awesome. It was a really fun time. I didn't sleep. Honestly, I don't think I slept like 2 hours in 2 days. I promised it would be cleaned up and ready, and a storm was coming in, but where the building that was torn down in the back, 145 North Hartley, it was a part of the York International Complex. So this is where we made refrigerators when York International was here in downtown. The back part was bought separately a little bit later. That was owned by the artist Patrick Paul. He is an artist. Pat Sells. Pat Sells owned that. He's the metal worker, did the Thinker downtown. He was in that building, and then we bought 145. So we put together the Masquerade Ball. It was something to see. It was pretty cool. Storm was coming through, water's leaking. I'm vacuuming it up, but we got it done. We had a great time. I think we had 500 people in this building, and now it's gone. But the building that's remaining, 475 West Philly, is going to become the new Life Path Center, which is awesome because what they can do by creating a better efficiency, I'm sure Pat has either presented or you guys are mostly aware, but the efficiencies that this creates and how this will benefit the community is huge. So we're acting as the owner's representative in this case, where we were hired to be there. It's an honor and a change for me to sit at the table over here in the country club, and I'm interviewing Kinsley, Wagman, and Stewart and Tate. So this feels weird, but let's do it. So for me, and I respect those companies quite a bit, and so we are acting, like I said, as the owner's representative in this process to choose the right general contractor and shepherd this thing through the end. We're really excited about where it goes. And nearby, this is probably one of the first looks at a sketch by Warehouse for Ballpark Commons. This has been a long, long effort by YCIDA or YCEA to acquire these buildings. It took a long time to get there, but fortunately they have. And the commitment is 8 apartments on the second floor. And the first floor is going to be a retail. We're not sure quite yet. but retail and restaurant, we're at the point now, we're ready to move this forward, regardless of actually having the tenant. But the 8 apartments, and then we feel confident once it's built, we're going to be able to rent this. All have balconies. They're going to have great views of the ballpark and in a really good location. So we're hoping that we can break ground in the spring, and then this will be done by end of 27, early 2028. I actually promised my mom she could live here, so I have a deadline. She's going to move in. This was fun. So this just goes to show how cool York works. So I think it was, Karen, 2014, I went to Holy Hound and I sat next to Karen McCormick over here, and we became buds. And she said her and her cousin, Steve Wilson, and their family own this building. And I said, I've been wanting to get in there for years. So this is, we're talking 12 years now of working on this, but we've been after this for a long time. This was originally a cigar box or cigar factory. They made cigars here. We made a lot of cigars in York. This was a cigar factory. And then in the 70s, Brocky Wilmack purchased it. They have a pharmacy here, and we actually had the opportunity to build some of these garages, renovate their lab. But the upper floors is primed for residential. This is a perfect view. It's got great windows. This is one of the most or more challenging projects we've had because we're using historic tax credits. We're on a 0 lot line next to York Academy, and there's a new international building code that won't let you put windows in. There's negotiations with neighbors to get parking underway. This has been years in the making, and I underline years. But this is why we do it, and this is why we love it, because in the end, it's a challenging one, but I feel like we're one of the few that really understand how to navigate it. And in the end, we're going to have 50 apartments here that are going to contribute more to downtown. And just an aside, some people might say, why do we need more apartments? Isn't this enough? Across the street, if you just turn to the left, statewide partners, 139 apartments. I talked to Ryan McKinley yesterday. They've rented 40 already, and they're not even done. And they're moving people in August before they even get to the finish line. So they're going to be doing construction with 40 out of 139 moving in. So they're going to finish 139 apartments and be almost complete. So when I stand here and say 50, I think we're going to have no problem. And honestly, I think these are going to be way cooler. You can tell Ryan that. But so we're going to have exposed brick, cool beams. Well, we need all of it. Everybody has a preference. Somebody might want to have an apartment with a view. Some may want old brick and that kind of feel. So I think we have that option. We have a lot of opportunities in York. This is one that is bittersweet. On the left side of the picture, you have Cupid's Connection. Anyone? No? So you have Cupid's Connection. A lot of laughter in here. And then you have what was Station House Bar. And then you have on the end we call it Gloria's. It was Frank Countess who actually went and was the first mover on this before anybody else was really after this in downtown. He was one of the first that saw this. And he acquired the building on the right, Gloria's, and then we got hired to renovate the Cupid's building when it caught fire. Cupid's caught fire. Keep that in mind. So we got hired to renovate the exterior, or the roof that is. And then we ended up buying from the RDA. We bought the Station House properties, and then we partnered with Frank and put it together one partnership. Unfortunately, the utility poles are out of view here, which at this point they were actually removed. But utility poles, there's a 3-phase utility pole in front of the Station House that would prevent anybody from living that close. And with the new rules of Med Ed, we weren't actually able to get close enough to make any repairs to the building. To move the utility pole, you had to run it underground, but if you did that, you might knock the building down. And by the way, Med Ed's not calling you back. So finally, we got to the point where we were able to get York Academy agreed to let us move one of the utility poles on North Street across the street. That was fun until we found out that where we're moving it is a railroad easement. So we need to wait for Med Ed to hear back from the railroad. That in itself is a real estate development joke. So about COVID, we realized this was getting unsafe. And unfortunately, there was just a point where we find enough investment that there's no return ever, or we start over. So here we are looking at the building today on the right-hand side. At this point, we're going to have a fence on the western border. We're going to be adding some privacy trees, sticking with grass for now. And we have plans. We're working with a number of ideas to see what makes sense. We think the highest and best use here is something vertical. I think we're at a point in the city where we could afford condos. I think that condominiums, single level, 1,500, 2,000 square feet condos with big balconies, parking on the first level. It's never really made sense. Eric Menzer and I, what's the one by Central Market, the lot, we tried that for years, but now I think we're at the point where it might start happening. But it's years away, if I'm honest. Just everything takes time. But if there is interest, we're going to have hopefully some condos in the near future. This is a fun one, John. 18 South George Street in 2015, John Gibalvo and I were bullish on office. We thought office was the next thing, and it wasn't. Now, I joke because John is the most patient and kind partner I could ask for. It's been an absolute pleasure working with him. But we're working on renovating the exterior, potentially starting in the fall, but it's looking with the timeline probably later to start in the spring. The exterior, don't worry, but there is brownstone all across there. And brownstone is a very malleable stone. That's why they used it. And they built this in 1890. Well, the front was 1895 and the back was later than that. But brownstone corrodes or erodes, and then it can fall. So we're thinking we want to do a make safe, fix those chimneys that you see that are topped off. And then once we're done with that, we're going to be focusing on a residential renovation to the interior. Residential seems to be, we're lucky in this regard in downtown. We don't have buildings like Harrisburg. Harrisburg are very large buildings that you have, very long hallway or long apartments. We have smaller buildings because of the size of our city, which allows for these residential conversions to happen. I feel bad for the big cities that are a lot of vacant office buildings right now, and I don't know what you do with it. People are walking away from them and just saying, here you go, bank, I can't make this work. We don't have that problem in our city because none of our buildings are too large. All right, the fun stuff. So potential projects are things that normally in real estate, you keep your mouth shut on stuff and you try to figure out through what they call due diligence. We're working out the details and we're going to see where this goes. So these projects, this is a rendering from years ago. And this is not what we have in mind. But if you know the curve, this is the Arch Street curve. We've had the Mezzo Minerals plant under contract now for some time. My good friend Jordan Ilias and I, he had an idea. We talked about it. We're still exploring our options. There's a potential for an employer to look at it. It's big. This is big. We would love to see, I think, Troy, I don't know how many apartments we were talking, but 300, I think, at one time when we did a yield study with Warehouse. It was a lot, and it's going to make it difficult to work. But the worst of it is, I'll just make everybody scared, this is in the employment center zoning, which permits scrap yards. And there's a scrapyard developer from Maryland who wants to buy this and rip up cars. And we can't let that happen. So when that came up, that's where we're like, okay, we got to do something. I don't know what it is. We're going to do something. So I think we have until August 31st, and then we have to make some decisions. And this is the fun stuff of real estate. You get to, have a big idea, and then you realize, how does this pencil? And then you got to call John or Eister over here, and he'll say, are you kidding me? This is another fun and exciting building. So Natalie's here, York County Community Foundation, first floor, and the upper floors was Wolf Building Products. Wolf got bought by Prime Source. Prime Source is out of Atlanta. They didn't see a need to have the center that the Wolf family did when they were here, and they've since relocated and moved everybody out. So now we have another empty office building in downtown. This hit the market. We saw it as an opportunity. It's connected to a parking garage. This, we believe, we did a yield study. I think we're around 45 apartments, which we think would work great. You could walk straight to the parking garage completely undercover. You're right there in Center City. And then we have a great first floor that could open up to somebody in the back. We have some really good real estate there as well. There we have poor Rainbow in the middle. McCrory's. Okay, there it is. The big one. So this has been on everybody's mind for a very long time. And when Eric Menzer sent me the flyer for this, we made an immediate call and we're like, okay, what's going on here? The Red Roof Inn operates a 90% occupancy because they rent the rooms multiple times a day. So we got to do something here. This is something that is, it's a necessary part of our ecosystem. I don't think it needs to be right here in our downtown. So we're playing with ideas. Abby's been working hard talking to Choice Hotels. There's a couple of brands out there that like us. The exposed corridors, the open air, is not a preference by major hotel chains. Parking is great, but it's old. It was built as a roadway in. It looks like a roadway in. We're trying to figure out, we're in that stage of due diligence. Normally I wouldn't talk about it, but this group of people I think deserves to know because this is exciting. This is probably one of the most exciting things I've been able to work on. And it would not be a presentation if I did not mention AI. And we got to play around with this fun idea. It changed the shape of the building. It added things that weren't really there, but you can picture it, right? You can see the future. So this is a little bit of what we do. We get to do lots of fun stuff in York City, but it's not all we do. Our company, we're building a car wash in Exton. We're doing a lot of work in Harrisburg right now. A lot of people in York think we focus only on downtown, but we do a lot of work outside the area. So it's been like I love my job. I absolutely love what I do. I love the team I get to work with, investors I get to partner with, everybody. I mean, it's so fun doing what I get to do and work with the team I have. So we're excited about all the things that we have. So I can take a few questions. I think we got like 5 or 10 minutes. So you can shout them out if it's easier. I got 2 minutes. Rapid fire. Kelly, what do you got? Just yell it.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It was excellent. Don't ever go on a walking tour with Dylan as your partner because he outstages you on everything. I just want to say we're known here in York across the country as having a developer who works with artists and arts organizations. That's not common. We've had people come from DC and other places just to meet and tour Royal Square because they like, how do you make developers like you? I don't understand. So I want to thank you for that. I hope with the new Mural Arts Hotel, there will be more art integration than just the murals. Hint, hint, Yorktown could be a great model for us to get artists in there and tour early. My question is comfort stations. What do you got?
That's a fun one. So the comfort stations, I could talk for a while. This is a fun fact, when Prohibition came, that's why we have comfort stations. They put them all across the state. There was like 60 of them, I think, out of the 67 counties. All of them were taken out except for York counties because the traffic signal light is there. You have to get through the comfort station. Having been in them, I wasn't downtown when they were open, but they have a barbershop on one. They have tubs, showers. When we were doing the Mural Arts Hotel, we couldn't do work to the exterior because of how bad the underground was. In order to do all of this, we had the balustrades around the area there. They were falling apart. So with Mayor Helfrich's help, we moved the balustrades into the basement or into the comfort stations. We put a pan in and then we put concrete and there's a hatch. So if and when we ever get to the point where we're going to bring those back, they're there. They're not gone. We actually went to the extent of adding pillars to make sure. And if you're on the square and you're looking, there's a little bit of a post that doesn't make sense. That's the vent pipe, which is pretty cool. You'll see that right outside of Mural Arts Hotel. Anybody else? 1 minute? That's it. Just Kelly? All right, Doug.
Just hold that. All right, Dylan, thanks so much for being here today and for your presentation. When I look at the focus of Royal Square and all that you shared today, how are you not a member of this club? So we're gonna work on that very quickly. And I will say, you mentioned you haven't been here for a few months. Again, your attendance is now better than Kevin Schreiber. So you mentioned him in your presentation. So as you all know, our speaker has signed a book to be donated this week to the York JCC Early Learning Center, along with a bookmark made by students at Creative York. Today's book is The Octopus Escapes. We must have an octopus theme. I don't know when we're done with this inventory. Next week, we will hear from Amy Rote from Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Central PA. Amy joined the organization in 2014 as Vice President of Programs and became CEO in 2021. Today, they serve 2,000 youth, the most in their agency's 45-year history. And then we'll end with our final thought today, and this certainly falls right in line with what Dylan's message was today. If my mind can conceive it, if my heart can believe it, then I can achieve it, by Muhammad Ali. Rotarians, have a great week. We're adjourned.